This is a privilege for us to speak to you about this technology. Of all people, I don't know why I ended up being asked by the Lord to speak about digitalization. But let me tell you, the very first time that I heard that this is something we need to be aware of. We go to remote places as missionaries. Everybody on these remote places will have this little gadget on their hand. And as we travel, as we walk, as we travel by bikes or motorcycle, you wouldn't believe that every single one on the roadside will not be looking at you, but will be looking on their phone. And so, after observing this situation, I asked the Lord, maybe we are so behind in understanding our time. And I realized then that there is something we need to do. But do you know that in the whole world right now, there are 6.7 billion mobile phones who, let me tell you, managed to kill even the television, the newspaper. This is something every young parent should know, every young people should know, every grandparent should know to tell their grandkids. But there will be a lot of words that may be sometimes difficult to understand as we go through our topics, but we will be slowly trying to understand them. This is part of our Christian duty. In fact, this is what Jesus talks about that we should understand. Remember when he said to the people who are reading the clouds, the season, they say, you can tell me and you can read the clouds, whether it's going to rain today or what will be the season or weather. Aren't British people so expert in weather? We are great in weather, like this country really. There never is a day where we don't talk about the weather. We are told by Jesus to read the times, to be able to look at the news and then relate it to what he is saying concerning this time. Do you know that everything you read on the newspaper right now or you watch on your little gadget there or on the television are all like little dots or puzzle pieces? And to understand these times and to learn to read this time, Jesus taught us to learn to connect these dots, to put them together like a puzzle pieces, and then we can have this picture of why Jesus said that in the last days it will be like watching the time of Noah over and over again. Why did he say that? That this time that we are living in will be just like the days of Noah. But we cannot talk about these end times unless we discuss technology. So I'm sorry if you are not into technology, but to understand the time as believers, you need to understand technology. Daniel 12 verse 4 talks about our time. So in this verse, Daniel 12:4, God, the angel who explained everything that Daniel saw, told him to shut up the words and seal the book until the time of the end. What does he mean by this? The time of the end has been described on the next phrase, which says, when many or for many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. So this is a twofold explanation on the knowledge that shall be increasing in our time. First of all, many shall run to and fro. Some people, they interpret it as the advent of travel technology, like I can be in Asia in about 17 hours, for example. So it's becoming very quick. But it also meant and interpreted as many people in the last days will start to try to seek for knowledge or truth, and that knowledge shall be increased, that understanding of the times, that understanding of who God is, what God is like, and this knowledge that people from the very beginning of time try to discover and find out. So we know how the knowledge is increasing in our time. I am a nurse and I work in operating theater. So this robotic technology that has taken over our operations, and many of the big major procedures that used to take hours in surgeries now just being done for a few hours because of robotic surgery, which we are doing currently in our time. And there's a lot of technological advancement that is now making the impossible possible through technology. And I don't want to use the word impossible from the realm of where only God can do. We are talking about the things, the exponential growth of knowledge that maybe 30 years ago you wouldn't even realize would have happened to us or could have been possible is now possible. So what we are looking at is a time of exponential growth of knowledge. But it didn't happen in a flash, like it happened gradually. But before we are now in our time, there were conditioning that had happened. Humanity has been conditioned to accept this technology, and before we know it, we are almost like incapable of trying to face it or trying to deal with it. So right now, the knowledge are increasing beyond your ability to catch up with it. We're talking about AI, which is now being powered by quantum computing, which we will talk about later on in detail. But what I want you to see is a picture. It is a picture. Okay, I hope you can hear me. Okay. It's a picture of what we are seeing right now that is very hard to comprehend. So I wanted you to look first at gaming, because this was something we all did before. I don't know if you have been into games before. Were you able to play games, computer games before? Okay. It doesn't mean it doesn't concern you, because at the moment there will be children close to us who will be hooked into this. It's easier for young parents, because if the children are very restless or they need the children to be quiet, what do the young parents do? Give them the phone, right? And then they start to be quiet, but not because they were disciplined or they behave, but because something else is disciplining them. Something else from that gadget is now taking over the raising of your children. You see, this is something that even people who are Christians or who go to church become very unaware of, because it's very easy for us to dismiss this effect that technology has, this little gadget has on these children. But what's happening with our brain when we are playing on our gadget and fixed on whatever is flashing on the screen, it's creating some kind of addiction, as we have watched. And there's, with drug addicts, the dopamine release, that reward center in our brain that makes you want to go back again and again on that same habit, is because your brain becomes so used wanting that reward. And so what's happening is you go back to it again and again. And those who are addicted to games is having the same kind of effect. They are becoming addicted, they want to go back again and again, because when they win the games, they have that kind of feeling of being all the time, that hyper excitement. The brain loves it. And that kind of chemical release in your brain makes you want to go back again and again. It's kind of similar to what sugar hit is.
like you, we all are being fed a lot of more sugary stuff, more sweet stuff. And that's why a lot of this aisle in the supermarket, when you go, a lot of these are all packaged and you don't know what's in all these packaged food. And then the children are being targeted with all these colorful things on the packet and with a lot of added sugar. And it's the reason is because the same hit the children have when they have all these sweets, very sugary stuff, and when they have it, they keep wanting to buy and buy and buy again. And it's the same thing. The brain does not actually recognize or identify whether this is food or this is some kind of game or this is drugs. Like if you take marijuana or if you take some kind of all this cocaine, and then the brain gets into that feeling of being high. So these things, the brain don't differentiate with all these. They just understand what it makes them feel. And so the brain starts to behave, makes you behave that way. So this is what's happening to games, and the impact is tremendous in the minds of these children. The spiritual and the mental effect of gaming in the minds of our children is just tremendous. And so as believers, we are asked to look after the children. And it doesn't mean just bringing them to Sunday school for parents. This once a week, 30 to 40 minutes time in the church is not going to raise your kids in the fear of God.
Yeah.
Raising of your child begins on Monday.
Yeah.
Every Monday, up to the time that child goes back to Sunday school. You think Sunday school will raise your kids in the fear of God? No. It's gonna be you as a parent.
Yeah.
And the reason we are talking about this is over time, this is what happened to us.
Yeah.
That is the reason why it's very easy for you now to accept any kind of convenience that technology brings. When did it become very inconvenient to have a cash on your hands? Why it's so easy now to just say, oh, it's okay, I'll just use my phone to pay, or I'll just tap my credit card to pay for something.
Yeah.
Now it's so inconvenient to have cash and coins in your pocket. Why it is so easy for people to accept these things? It did not happen overnight. We have been conditioned from the time they introduced technology to us, from when we were kids. And all these starts to, there is this, what we call it, technology upgrade. You see this in the phone? You want upgrade? You want to swap your old phone to this newer version? When did it become a need for you to upgrade? See, we are not noticing it, but these are unconscious mental effect of this technology that is now before our eyes day and night. So when we look at games and how it all started, it is that part of your brain that's being hit, that's being affected, and we unconsciously become hooked to these, especially the children, the young people, those in their teens, those in before university, and even those who went to university. They feel like it took a long time for them to get themselves out of gaming because of this. But the other thing is the spiritual effect of this. It numbs you of any spiritual inclination. When you are out into this technological world of gaming, it brings you somewhere else. And that's why we will talk about the next part, these subliminal messages that what is being used to you when you are watching any kind of film. So if you go to subliminal messages part, but what I want to tell you is when you watch television or movie, your brain is using this passive kind of mode. You know how some people will laugh at their parents when they say, when they watch television, they know their grandparents will be sleeping, but they're watching kind of. Because this is what happened to you and me when we start to stare on the screen. There is a switch. We have what we call conscious and subconscious part of the brain. And we have this kind of passive and active mode. When you watch anything on the screen, the brain immediately switches to passive mode, where it just received without scrutiny any information. Okay, so I don't know whether you will get what I want to tell you here, but whenever you are watching something on screen, the brain, because of the effect of this flashing technology, switches your brain mode to passive. And it means subconscious. What is subconscious and what is conscious mind? So let me just explain in a very simple term. Your active mind, your conscious mind, is the one that makes decision. This is the one that analyzes what I say. When you're hearing me now, you are trying to critically analyze it. So you see, when you are in university, you are trying to learn to critically analyze any research paper, right? To actively make your brain compare and contrast the facts that's being presented to you. So you don't just accept anything you read or anything you watch as the truth, right? That is your conscious mind. But there is part of our brain, we call it the passive mode, subconscious part. This is the part that most of us are not aware of. But do you love hearing music? MTVs and all this kind of music playing on your in your car? When you are listening to this music, it's your subconscious that's receiving the information. Because in our time, scientists discovered that in order to put information that they don't think people will readily accept, they will use music. They will use the subtlety of sound and music to get inside your brain and make you receive anything they want you to receive without you being aware of it. How many of you keep listening to some kind of music on your car? You don't intend to listen to it, it's worldly if you think about it, and then you don't realize your feels like when you hear the music, you're just like tapping like this on the sound, and you don't even try to memorize or learn the music. It's just your passive brains receiving this information. You are not aware of it. So that is your subconscious part. The subliminal message that we're talking about is being used to children when they watch films, and there will be subtle information that is being put in those movies. You think your kid is watching an innocent children movie, but there are a lot of things in these movies that are sexualizing the children. A lot of these subliminal messages that these films are using has to do with trying to get the children to awaken sexually. So this is part of what they want to make the children more sexualized. And so this is a very dark world. And if you think about how the children you're thinking, 8 years old, they're thinking about boyfriend or something like out of their, at the time, at their age, you were thinking, I was just climbing trees at that age when I was 9 or 10, but now these kids are like talking about, what? Boyfriends? Or like, these things are something that we are wondering how on earth these kids even know about these things. Yeah. But it starts young, when we are letting them watch and get all these subliminal messages, that there are all these subtle messages that tries to get in, that the enemy is using to sexualize their thoughts. And these are all subconscious level. What I mean by that is getting you to receive information that you wouldn't have otherwise received when your brain is on the active mode. And in fact, most of us right now, most people are using this passive mode because more and more people now are losing the ability to critically analyze and actively research or criticize whatever is presented to them. Any information. Like when you read the news, when you hear the news on television, do you even stop and think whether is this truth? Are they really talking about something that has truth in it? We lost the ability. Majority of people have lost that. Propaganda. And you know why propaganda works, or all this news coming and people just believe it? Every single day, every hour, you will see on the news this ambulance coming and picturing these hospitals, people are dying, and everybody becomes so afraid. And after that, every single news, every single fact, we just accept as truth. We believe it because we are all afraid. But let me tell you one thing that I learned over these last 4 years during COVID, that God has not really given us the spirit of fear. He hasn't. So everything that we've done, everything that comes out of that fear during that time, guess where it came from? It can never be coming from God, because the spirit of fear is not from God. Of course, it's from the enemy. The whole system of your brain is down because everyone was made to be afraid of dying, or looking at all these people showing you all these, making your brain afraid. And because everybody's been conditioned to just accept this information without questioning, because we have been conditioned to passively watch anything on the screen, then we are unconsciously accepting all this information. This is subliminal messages. And that's what's happening with the children and on as they grow. And now we go to a more sophisticated time where, I don't know if anyone here have heard of metaverse. Anyone here heard of virtual reality? Anyone here tried VR, this gadget that you put on your screen, on your eyes? Okay, this is like an upgrade. No, we were talking about games when you are just playing with your joystick, and then you have been upgraded. Now we have all this sophistication in the media, television, and on your gadget. You're watching all this non-stop feeding of all this different information on your Facebook account or wherever you have account in social media. Virtual reality, VR. Now Facebook is trying to promote this Ray-Ban. It's almost like a VR, but you know, it's a little version. But virtual reality. Now, what has it got to do with Christians? Why are we talking about metaverse or virtual reality? After VR, we will talk about metaverse. I've never even heard about this word metaverse. What is metaverse even? Now, let's go back to Facebook. Do you know that Facebook is now named Meta?
Yeah.
Okay. Why on earth Facebook will even choose the word Meta to be their new name? Do you know what it meant by Meta? Meta came from a Hebrew word, which means death. There is something going on with all the social media that we are being fed. So when you look at what they are trying to promote using a metaverse and using virtual reality gadget in order to get inside this world, when you call virtual reality, it's an alternate reality, meaning you are sitting here, but you can also be sitting inside the computer, making yourself feel you're inside the game, for example, or you're inside that scenario. They are promoting it, and they are creating like two alternate realities for you and me. Like if you're fed up with your life here, and you said to yourself, I'm so fed up with this reality, why don't I try another reality where I can be maybe Jennifer Lopez in that reality. Maybe I can create myself to be next door neighbor of Beyonce. Oh, that would be nice, right? For example. And this is very attractive to the millennial generation or to this young generation because they are fed up with the atmosphere at home. They don't like their mom and dad. They are being bullied at school. And so what's happening to these teenagers? They are entering virtual reality. This world is not real, but it feels real. It feels real because this world, for them, when they are hooked on their screen and their little gadget is there, it makes you feel everything that you're seeing. I don't know, you should try it sometime just so you are aware what kind of world your kids are being lured into. Why are they addicted? Why they love getting inside this virtual reality and metaverse? Why they love to watch all these, all these movies now always have metaverse experience in it. Do you know why? It's conditioning. Stay at home, hook yourself on your gadget, and they will give you these gadgets to make it feel real to you until you can never tell anymore whether this is your reality or not. And so, in Japan, they have the highest suicide in the world. The rate is very high because they are a very high-tech country, and these young people are so addicted to all this virtual reality that when they come off their gadget, they become so depressed because the brain is now confused with what is real here. They come off to eat something and it becomes very depressing to them to not be in that neighborhood where they built themselves to be inside that reality on the internet, where they are very famous, for example, or the things you cannot do in your reality here, you can do there. That's the attraction. And so what makes it very depressing is because as soon as you come off the internet, it's not real. And it is very depressing to these young people. They cannot handle it. So what do? They take their own life to end this mess that they are in, and they could not handle it. Parents, do you know what your children are getting into? I want you to feel very alarmed when your kids are spending more than an hour in that gadget. Don't be so happy and satisfied because they are quiet and they are not disturbing you with what you do, because guess what's happening? They will never disturb you again, because the devil is the one raising your kids. Do you know what they are watching? There are a lot going on in technology and digitalization. We want to learn to connect these dots because it will lead to the system of the Antichrist. And remember, we are told by Jesus about Daniel chapter 12 verse 4 that we are in this time when the knowledge shall be increased. And obviously we are in that time. I cannot think of any other time in history where we have this capacity, where the world is having this potential to increase knowledge. I'm not talking about every year. I'm talking about every hour. The knowledge are increasing and we will not be able to catch it because of quantum computing. We will talk about these, but have you ever chat with a chat GPT? This chat GPT, which we will also talk about, is something that is so impressive. For those who are not happy studying and researching, they love it. It's university students, they will finish their course without even learning anything or testing what they really know, because they let ChatGPT do all the work. And you know what? You ask this ChatGPT, make you this thesis or essay, and in less than a minute, you will have what you want. The full essay, the full thesis, everything under the sun. That's fed to them. They will regurgitate to you. Do you understand what ChatGPT is? It is a very dangerous technology. And we will talk about that in more detail. But I want you to see the progression of all this technology. But there is this place where you can test virtual reality. For parents, I recommend it, not because I want you to hook yourself in it and enjoy it yourself, but I want you to understand the danger that your children are falling into. When you get there, they will even have these gloves that you will wear. Put this and then put the gloves. And believe it or not, when you enter into this world, you will enjoy it. You can feel, you can hear, you can even smell. Like how it feels like. If you want to be a submarine, you're like under the sea and you want to look at the corals and touch the fish. It feels real. It feels so real, makes you wonder why Jesus said in the last days, it will be characterized with deception. Yeah. Because what is deception? What is deception? Deception feels real. It looks like the truth. It feels like the truth. And so, when Jesus talks about our time, last days, he always talk about be not deceived. And now you are watching and looking at the time we are in, and you understand why. That's what it meant by Daniel 12 verse 4. Our understanding of prophecy is increasing. The same way as the knowledge in this world, the enemy is so active. I don't know if you're aware of the other realm, but if you're a Christian, I'm sure you believe that there is this realm that is more real than what we have. This is called a spiritual realm. If you believe in Jesus, you know that this other world is real. Of course, because you have experienced a supernatural regeneration in your soul. And this is not in this realm. That's why, if you are a believer, you start to have your eyes open to see this realm. By faith, you are having this understanding. And this is something God gave us, because the Holy Spirit is given inside us to learn to discern our times. And so, I wanted you to, as we go farther in this lecture, we will see a lot of unbelievable things. A lot of dismissible, something like you want to dismiss because your brain wants to dismiss it because it feels so unreal that this is happening. But I want you to hang on, because Jesus said we need to understand our times. And this is part of understanding our time. So we have gone to gaming, we have gone to understanding subliminal messages, which all your kids are probably being subjected to, all the MTVs that they watch. Oh, it's so demonic. I cannot tell you any single thing in MTV that is not influenced by the enemy. Very dangerous. And to think about it, all this music that is being played on your radio on the way to work, I hope you're not listening to all these, because they have all these subliminal messages going into your passive brain, because this music, this sound, it's being created in a way that will suspend your active mind, your conscious mind, your brain that thinks and analyzes information, and it activates your subconscious part. It makes you passive, so you can just receive. Remember I told you, you just tap on the sound. Before you know it, you are singing the lyrics. You didn't even pay attention to it. You were, what on earth am I saying? Why am I? Passive, subconscious learning. So, and then we have the virtual reality world. Most teenagers are so hooked. And then now the sophistication of metaverse. And we talk about Meta, being the name of Facebook now, and why they call it Meta. Meta means death. And why on earth they will name their social media death? Because every time you enter this metaverse, this reality, it's almost like you're entering death.
Yeah.
You are entering death. This unreal world.
Yeah.
And you are killing your soul by entertaining all this information. So you are being conditioned into all this as you hook yourself into this tiny little gadget called your mobile phone. That is something that I don't understand why you are panicking when you left it at home. Something like you cannot do without. Very dangerous time, don't you think?
Yeah.
Now, when you think about metaverse, you are thinking about this unreal world that they all want us to hook at. Eventually, you become something else in that reality. Let me tell you the example that's very, very simple here. You can create in Facebook a different you. Like you will post something that's always good about you. Like you are in this nice holiday, you're smiling and happy. You will pick a corner in your house where it's just so 100% perfectly arranged, and then you will take a picture and post it on the Facebook, and then everybody who looks at Facebook will say, oh, her life is in such a perfect everything, oh, like she got it all together, it's just everything is so nice going on in her life. And then the reality hits, because the truth is not what it seems. You can create something. You don't want to post in Facebook this very messy kitchen, don't you? Is there anyone here who posts something on Facebook that's not perfect in your eyes? That's a little bit of metaverse to you. But that's not the actual, just metaverse that they want us all to hook ourselves into. They want for us to go beyond it. But this is just a simple conditioning for you and me. Everybody loves themselves. Remember what Paul said in Timothy, 3. He said, these last days will be what? In the last days, what? People will be what? Lovers of themselves. People will be lovers of themselves. Facebook, all about self. Lovers of what? Pleasure. More than lovers of God. And don't we just see this everywhere? You cannot look and look at your phone and not have all this flashing everything to you. Like pleasure you can have. Holiday you can get. All this is past you can have, you can have all this nice massage and all these things about pleasure and all about what feels good to you. This is the characteristic of our time. And so we are looking at all these and we say, Jesus, I want you to come back. I always, wish we will. We will see Jesus in our lifetime, don't you think? Everything will be over, but it's not really over. When Jesus comes, we will be put to work. As you know, there's this very short period of the wrath of God being poured on this world, and then it will be such a mess. The whole world will be in a mess. And so hence, we will all come back with Jesus and put the world in order with Him. Remember, your faithfulness will be the basis of what you will do. What does God look at? He does not look at what you have done. He looked at the state of your heart. Your faithfulness in that little job that He asked your life to do. And then He looked at you and He said, I can trust this child. And yes, why not? So, remember that's what Jesus said about this parable of the talents. That's what it's all about. Looking at your faithfulness so He can trust you with something during the millennium, in the 1,000 years reign of Christ. Can you imagine? We're only like what? How many years? In your lifetime, very few of us will reach 100. Don't worry. We are looking at 1,000 years, and then after that, eternity. So there are so much to look ahead. I don't see any reason for any believer to be depressed at all. Do you? Can you see any reason not to smile if you're a believer? It's just out of this world. I cannot think of any reason for you not to be excited every day. Yes? I want to see smiling, excited, full of energy faces every single day. Our life is the most exciting life in all of these people around the world. Why? We have Jesus Christ. We have hope. We have this hope. And so it makes you smile every single day. Life is exciting. It is exciting. Now, let us look at a more in-depth technology. Let's look at AI. Shall we show the video on AI first so we understand? But what does CBDC has to do with all this artificial intelligence, with my chat GPT, with all this AI that I'm enjoying? How did they condition us to get this far? First, let us look back and see how we were happily just paying cash before these credit cards come to us, and how it makes it all so easy that without even having money, we can pay for something, right? Oh, it's just amazing, isn't it, to have this ability. And so they start to condition you to like to use this plastic card because it's buying something from the money you don't have. And so eventually it becomes a way of life for every single one of us to use credit cards. And then now you cannot go to work or have a job without having a bank account because they cannot pay you cash. You have to have a bank account and then they will electronically transfer your money to your bank account. Okay. So what is happening is we have been slowly conditioned to accept a system. Well, you know what artificial intelligence, AI? It thinks 800 times faster than the human brain. And of course, if you watch this movie intently, you will see business profits all over it. Oh, so many business opportunities for so many business-minded people to use this artificial intelligence to do everything that they can to make profit from everything that will come out of this coming control. Well, this is the system of the Antichrist after all, where Revelation 13 have told us about in 17 and 18, where it says, the Antichrist forced all men to have a mark that will then enable them to buy or sell, or will not allow them to buy or sell without the mark. And it will be implemented, it will be mandated, the system of the Antichrist. When I was reading it, because I was studying Bible prophecy since teenage years, because I have this kind of interest about prophecy and I have been seeing what's happening and I just somehow can connect the dots slowly. But now, you know what? You're not imagining it. You are watching prophecy before your eyes. Daniel 12:4. This is included in the knowledge shall be increased statement. That prophecy will no longer be interpreted to you. You will see it in plain sight. You are watching the prophecy unfold before your eyes. How do you think the whole world can be subjected to Revelation 13, where everyone is small and great, rich and poor or free or slave, be mandated to have a certain mark so that they can conduct their business, or they can buy or sell, or if you don't have it, you cannot? What I want to tell you is our society is almost ready to accept this system. It's hard to believe, I know, but we are there. Part of me is very sad because I know the state of the world right now where people are so indifferent about God. It's very sad to see so many going in this direction. But part of me is so excited because it means Jesus is coming. Because it means that what Jesus said he would do, after all, more than 90% of all prophecies have been fulfilled in exact detail as the Bible has said. What will make you think that it will not happen again in what we are seeing right now? Do you think how the Bible talk about Jesus coming and how he will be born of a virgin and how he would, the parents will go to Egypt and that everything has been described in detail before it even happened? What makes you think that what the Bible talks about our time will not happen exactly as what the Word of God says? If you don't believe God, if you don't believe in the Bible, I can bet you 100% that if you will just open your mind and analyze what's happening and read the prophecies in the Bible and look at Israel and look at all this that are happening around us and compare it to prophecy, you will not finish reading prophecy before you would believe. I can tell you that. If you will, I dare you do it. If you are a skeptic and you do not want to believe, I want you to read prophecy, what the Bible says about our time. Compare it, connect the dots, and then go back and ask yourself, this same God who made all those prophecies come exactly as he described, is going to come. Am I ready for what's coming? That's my question to you. Because the world is being prepared. But of course, we are also being prepared by God for what's about to come.